Okay, we are in Holland, November 2016, getting ready the bike for winter. It's gonna be pretty cold December and January and February, so time to do some maintenance. Now this video is for my friends, my friends that own a Harley, that want to save up some money and actually do it themselves. Now today I'm gonna fix the master cylinder, brakes, and I'm gonna drain the line and replace the fluid here in the system, in the brake system, in the front brake system on this Harley. It's a 2007 Road King. The liquid is pretty bad, the fluid, so it is about time we change it. So we're gonna go through that. It is my third attempt, and I hope this one we get it right. Okay, but this will be good for those people that want to do that at home. Again, saving some money. Not bringing this to the dealership. It's gonna cost you 500 euros here in Holland just to replace the master cylinder and bleed the brakes. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is assemble the master cylinder. I have purchased a rebuild kit, and it's ready to go for assembly. So part one is doing that assembly, and then we come back to the bike and do the bleeding. Alright, so part number one, rebuilding the master cylinder. Okay, so this one here, it is the front brake master cylinder. It's called 1116. I'll show you in a minute here. Maybe the camera could take it. 1116. This is for touring bikes, touring Harleys, with the double disc at the front, the double braking disc at the front. Now I already pulled it apart. Used to look like this, of course, with the mirror. I already pulled it apart before, just to save up some time, but okay. So we take that, the brake lever. Now what we need to do here is, this is the master cylinder pump, if you like. So it's got the cylinder and it's got a pump system inside. Now this pump system is 10 years old and it's failing, so it's putting a little bit of air inside the system, and the Harley is not braking effectively. So this is how it looks like. So I removed the bolts already, and it looks like this. This is just the cover. This is the actual cylinder where the braking fluid goes in. It's got a couple of little holes in the middle, and that's where it pumps in all the liquid when you activate the brakes. So okay, now we're gonna replace this. I'll purchase already the build kit. So that's how it comes, just a little pump system from Harley Davidson. If you get this done in the shops or in the Harley shops, it will cost you, say, around 500 bucks to just do the replacement plus the kit. Now the kit cost me 10 euros, and I'm gonna go and give it a go. Okay, so first thing we need to do is, you probably see this screw here, or this pin here. So we press it a little just to lose some tension that it is built there in the pump. Yeah. Now with a pair of tweezers, just try to gently pull it out, like that. So what we've got here is springer to make the breaker go back, and a set of seals. Yeah. So these seals here is what we're gonna replace. So we're gonna put in the new one. So this is the old one, and we're gonna make a new one that I just purchased. Okay, so make sure that when you do this, you got a nice towel underneath, because you're gonna use brake fluid dot number 4. Now this stuff is highly corrosive, very corrosive. You get it on your paint or on your pants or even your hair, and it will corrode big time. So make sure that you're careful with when you handle this. Get a towel underneath, and what you do first, and this is my old thing, but is to put a little bit of fluid in the lid, because you're gonna need that to lubricate your seals. You're gonna need this to lubricate your brand new seals. Okay, so we pull the other one aside, We get the new one in, and we're gonna lubricate those seals. Yep. So let me just hear the camera so you can see it. Okay, so first thing we do is just with your finger just get fluid all over it. Now make sure that for your bike you get the right fluid. For mine, for a Road King 07, is .4. Now there is .5, and I think that is for Posters and other bikes, but I think you gotta be very careful how you do those things, how you buy your fluid. So try to get fluid all over the system to make sure that when the system is hot, it's not gonna, the rubber is not gonna melt and stick to the system, which is exactly what happened with this one, and that's why I need to replace it. So, okay, so once you have your system well and truly lubricated, then what you want to do is try to put the seals. Now you gotta be careful to put them in the right order. Now this one here is facing out. This one is the one that is gonna drive the main pump in there, so you slide it in. Don't use tools. For this, don't use any tools. You gotta use your fingers, because you could damage the seals. These seals are very sensitive, and they could be broken very easily. So you gotta be gentle but firm, and drive your seals inside. Okay, so like that. Yeah, so that's done. Now next thing we need to do is to, now the little pump is actually ready. What we need to do now is lubricate the inside of the cylinder. Now this is here where my fingers fits in. Yeah. So similar process. What we want to do is make sure that with a little bit of this fluid here in the lid, yeah, that we put as much lubricant as we can inside. Because again, we don't want this to stick to the rubber and be dry, and therefore cause problems when it gets hot. Now it's winter time, so no problems of getting hot, that's for sure, but that's how you want to do it. Yeah. Okay, so before it goes in, then you need your springer, yeah, and this is very important. You got to make sure that it's in the right position. So it's gonna go first inside here, yeah, and then it's gonna go inside there. So what we're gonna do is very slowly and carefully, just gonna slot it in, yeah. And what you want to do when you put it in is twist it around when it goes in. So you're making sure that the rubber is going as gently as it can be, right there. Now it feels hard in there, and it's just before the main seal actually hits the cylinder. So what you want to do is again trying to rotate it around, and with your thumb just push it in, which is just like that. Yeah. Now you wanna these couple of times just to make sure that everything's in position, and you get a little bit of resistance in there. Yeah. Okay, so the main system is in. Next thing you do again is to continue. Now this part is the part that is caused me a little bit of a problem before. What you want to do, this is the retainer. It's a plastic cap called the retainer. Now you want to put that first before you put your main seal. Now I didn't do it that way before, and it really cost me a bit of grief. I have to go and get a new repair kit just because of this little problem. Now again, the lubricant is drying a little bit, so I'll make sure that it's got plenty, like that, and we're ready to go. Now what I recommend is pull this out and ensure that your back metal fence here goes in first, face first to the pump. So it goes like that, yeah, looking like that. Make sure the camera gets it, yeah, and then you can pull it in. Yeah. Now first thing you do is just try to get it in first right there. Now, and it's gonna move a little bit up like that at the beginning, but that's okay. You want to make sure everything is lubricated. Now what you do next is you need to prepare one screwdriver, but you gotta try to remove all the sharpy edges in the screwdriver. So I got this one, and I effectively sand it all down to remove all the sharp bits. Because what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna go and get in there and try to help get the master seal in. Now, if you do it with a sharp object, you're gonna break the seal, and you don't want to do that. A little break in there is start all over. Okay, so the way to do this is you press. I don't know if the camera is getting in there. You press, and with your other hand, you're helping the seal go in. Yeah. Now, easier said than done, I should say. Easier said than done, because this seal tends to be, you know, pretty tight. So, okay, so we'll try that. And what is going to happen is, the more you push, the quicker it's going to get there. Now you got to do slowly, bits at a time. Don't hurry. Don't hurry this up. If you hurry this up, it's going to break the seal. So just take your time. Again, no sharp objects here. If you do sharp objects, back to square one. Now it's getting there nicely. Now, also because I lubricated it, it's also working very well that way. So let's just switch hands. And ever so slowly, try to push it in. Now you don't need to rush it. Change hands. Make sure there is a bit of pressure with your thumb in there, and slowly get into that washer. Now, done. So you can see in there the camera. You can see here, washer is in. Hard to say, but it's washer is in. And you could activate it, compress it, and if it makes that little squeegee sound, that means you're in business. Yeah? That means the seal is well retained and is pushing back. Right? So that's a good thing. So that's, hope you hear that. Yeah. Okay, so success. We've got a rebuilt Harley Davidson dual disc 1116 2007 Harley Davidson master cylinder. Yep. Now, next thing we need to do now is put it back into the bike and flush or bleed the brakes, which is the next step, part number 2. But at least we got a pretty good start. There you go. This is a good video for my friend in Germany, Mick. Maybe he wants to give it a go, huh? Instead of paying $500 to do these sort of things. Yeah? Alright. Now, what we want to do first, before we go and remove that though, before we go and replace this into, or put it into the bike, what we need to do is to actually put the brake lever mechanism in place. So it's a little bit easier here in the table than it is to do it on the bike. Yeah, so we'll do that. I'm gonna put this together now. Like I said, I previously dismantled this kit, and I got the pin out, and I also got the safety pin with a little washer. I'm not sure if the camera can grab it, but it's just a little washer called the safety pin. Now what we do is turn it around, and at the same time you turn the handbrake lever around. And what you want to do is to make sure, and you don't need to lubricate this, by the way. In fact, the better you don't use any lubrication here, because the fluid that we're using for the brakes is very corrosive, so it's going to corrode all the paint all around the cylinder here. So this needs to be clean. You make sure that you always have a towel handy, you know, to clean your hands. So then what you do is you line it up there, and then pick it up with your left hand side if you're a right hand sider. And then you try to slot it in. Now it's a millimetric fitting pin, so it's gonna give you a little bit of fiddling, which I'm prepared to do, but it should go like that. So now you got it in there, a little bit of a fiddle, a couple of taps, and there you go. So your safety pin is inside. Now I got me here my sorry, your brake lever pin is there. Now what I got me here is my safety pin. Now I don't want to put it in just yet, yeah, just purely because if I have to go and bring this up again for something that went wrong, I just don't want to have to do it again. I don't have the proper tweezers today, so we'll leave it out first, and then we'll get to put it together. Now let me try to show you though how to do it, so you can actually do it, and I'll put it back together again when I have time. But what you want to do here is to actually get a pair of tweezers, not like those ones, but a little bit better ones, a little bit pointy ones, yeah? Because what you want is to actually open it up. If you don't have a tool, the proper tool, you're gonna have to improvise a little bit and spread this apart a little better. So yep, what you do, just with one little small tweezer, try to get it in, yeah, and with your finger holding the other side, you can effectively get it all set up. That's how you do it, yeah. It'd be ideal to have the proper tweezers that expand out, but I don't, yeah, so I have to just do it like this. Anyway, so we got ourselves a rebuilt brake cylinder master kit with the handbrake lever on top. So now we're ready. Now what we're gonna do there on the bike is we're gonna put this one in, secure it to the bike here, and that way we could then start the bleeding process. Now before you do that, what you want to do, and I'll show you in a minute, is this one here. What you want to do is to activate the brake lever a little bit and stick a little bit of paper or cardboard or a little piece of something, yeah, into the hand lever. Now you do that because when you're going to fit it in the bike, and I'll show you in a minute, you don't want to be breaking your brake light. If you do it this way, you protect the little sensor that is there for your brake light on the bike. Now replacing those brake lights are pretty difficult, so I really recommend you take the caution to do this thing. That's all you need, just a little pin in there, just to activate the brake lever a little bit, so your brake light is not going to break when you assemble the master cylinder, yeah? So that's all there is to it. Now let's go and get it going. Now before I do that, you're always, good idea, get a drink. This is good stuff for Harleys, or for Harley owners, I should say, a bit of whiskey, always a good thing, huh? So we're here back at the bike. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fit our front brake master cylinder and lever to the bike. I'm just gonna connect all the lines again and get it ready for a proper fluid bleed of brake. So, like I say, most important thing in this step is to keep this little piece of paper here that pre-activates the hand lever. Now you do that to protect your brake light, so that's a good thing. Fortunately, the camera won't capture that, but trust me, you want to do it. Mick, if you're doing this at home, make sure you get that thing done, huh? You wanna before you have to go back and get a new brake light system. Okay, so what we got here is cylinder, and we got the bracket. Yeah. Now this is not a pressure per se retaining part, so we don't need torque wrenches or anything like that. It's just purely very quickly, very so carefully, again protecting that brake light to actually get it in. Now this is the easy bit of the job. So what you do is just there's a couple of screws at the back, get them going, and let me zoom in a little bit more. Let me zoom in a little more so you can actually see what I'm doing here. It's gonna go out of focus for a bit, but okay, we'll zoom it in. Okay, I think that's good. There you go. So I think that's clear and clear. A little less, I should say, just there. Yep. Okay, so with an Allen key, you actually need to go and pre-secure all your bolts there. Now, $10 from the shops. Yeah, you could go as crazy as $300 for a full set of socket sets with torque wrench and everything, but this will do. Yeah. Over here in Europe, they call it the hex keys. In Australia, we call it the Allen key. So if you go and say Allen key here in Europe, they look at you crazy. They look at you like if you're talking about somebody else. So anyway, there you go. So we get it again. Let's load into these bolts. And what you want to do is want to make sure a little bit at a time. Because what it is you don't want this to be, you know, the distribution of the torque force to be, you know, well spread out on the two different points. So we do that. Do that. And doesn't need to be too much force, just a little bit, you know. Again, you don't need a torque wrench for this, but don't go crazy. And doesn't need to be too tight. Okay, so master cylinder in. Now what we need to do is to connect the lines. Now for this one, I got a bit of advice. We're gonna connect this line here, and this line is what brings the brake fluid down to the system, yeah, and to the calipers at the front. Now this connects nicely here, as you can see. So we're just gonna move that in there. You see, this goes like that. You can move it in, and it needs to be fitting snugly there. Yeah. You need to make sure that you got your seals properly done. I've got mine. Now what you want to do, and this is a big mistake, something here that happens in Europe quite a bit, is you could either use a 10mm metric spanner or a 3/8 imperial spanner. Now, millimetric is not for Harleys, I can tell you. You gotta use imperial tools here. And the 3/8 is just a fraction of a millimeter closer to what you needed here for this one. So do not use the 10mm line, spanner, I'm sorry. This is just gonna wreck your screw. You think it's gonna do it, but it actually doesn't. So use the 3/8. Believe me, I already replaced a couple of my boards because of this. Okay, so using this one, again, you're just gonna tighten it all in. Now, what you wanna do, yeah, is make sure that you don't put pressure on the actual line. You know, it needs to fit snugly, easily, you know, in natural position there. Because this thing here could easily get broken with the forces of the torque that you're gonna apply in a minute. So be careful with your lines. You break your lines and it's game over. It's game over. Okay, so that's what we do. We'll tighten it up here again, ever so slowly. You don't need to put too much torque because you got a seal here. You got a seal here. You got a seal here, and you don't wanna over torque it. So again, just a little bit, snugly there. You want to make sure that the lever is still operating. Yeah, you want to remove this. Okay, so we're back at the bike. What we're gonna do now is bleed the brakes. Now, this one is perhaps the most difficult part of it when you bleed the brakes, especially on the Harleys. Anyway, but before you do, make sure you get the right brake fluid for your system. You know, this one is .4 for Harleys, especially for tourers like these ones with dual brake. Apparently this is the best thing. So okay, we got that. What I did is I pre-filled this little canister here with this stuff already, so ready to go. I only put half of it. You know, this is, you know, a quarter of a quarter would be enough. 250 ml is plenty for this system. Now I bought me here in Europe. I bought me a valve bleeder kit. Now this is nothing more complicated than just a bit of a syringe pump kind of system. Cost me $200, but you could do this same thing, a little bit more fiddly though. But you could do it the same with a syringe and a line. Yeah. Anyway, so first thing we do is we connect the outlet to the outlet nozzle. Yeah. And what I do is I connect it back in to the same system. And what I do that is when I start pumping, what I want to do, and you could see it here, is this is gonna start letting some air circulated through the system. So I'm just a bit of pressure there. And what I want to do is start pumping it, and you can see the fluid is coming here, getting in, and starting to pump it. Yeah. Now I'm pumping it back in the system, but what I'm doing, as you can see, hopefully there in the camera, I'm just trying to get rid of that air. I just want only liquid in this canister, or in this part of the system. Yeah. So there you go. So I just turn it this way so the bubble goes up there, and then press it. Yeah. And what it does, it just pushes the air out. Now you probably see in there, I only got liquid in the lines, no air. That is very important for building your brakes. A little bubble is gonna make your brakes squishy or not working altogether. So anyway, there you go. Nice and full of fluid. Just to make sure it is all out. Yeah. There you go. So all good. Yeah. Ever so slowly. Now what we do is, before I take it out and get it ready to go, I need to replace my bleeder valve. Now I have replaced it this time around because, as I mentioned before, I was using the wrong spanner and I broken, or twisted all the screw size in there. So get a new one, cost $10, best value for money though. Now you're wondering what this is doing here. Just make sure that you have a bit of motorbike cleaner available quickly at your hand, and also a bit of water. What you want to be doing now is making sure that you spread a little bit of water everywhere in your motorbike that are close to this system. Now you do that because, again, brake fluid is very corrosive. You don't want to be damaging your paint or your chrome or even your rubber. You want to make sure it's all nice and clean before when you finish. Okay, next thing we do, that bleeder valve goes in. Yeah. So let's put it in all the way in. We get our 3/8 wrench spanner, ready to go. And you want to set it up. Yeah, you want to actually set it up, and you can turn it on the other way. Now what you want to do is set it up there, and then set up the nozzle. Yeah, the nozzle that goes with it. Now the reason you do that is because you want to minimize, if at all, any opportunity of air getting in the system. A little bit of air, your brakes will be squishy, and you have to go and do it all over again. So make sure there is no air. Now what we're gonna do is, now because we replaced the master cylinder, it's all air here, so we're not gonna do it from the top. We're gonna do it now from here, going upwards to the master cylinder. So we're gonna push the fluid up there. We're not gonna flush it, we're gonna push it using this little pump here. That's why I got me this pump, $200. Boy. Okay, so you got it in there, minimize any air intake in there. So what I'm gonna do is just connect it in. Now that I've taken all the bubbles out, this needs to be connected in very, very snugly tight in there. My system is closed at the moment, but what I want to do is very slowly, and it's gonna be just a little bit. You open it, yeah, with your hand here, just to make sure, and you lift up your hose. Now when you do that, you cannot see it maybe in the camera, but all the bubbles are going up there. All the air bubbles are going up in the system, right? And that's good because the fluid that I'm gonna put in is free of bubbles at the moment. So I start the pumping process very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. Now the whole fluid is actually gonna go, yeah, it's gonna go right to the master cylinder. So that's why you wanna do it slowly, because if you do it too fast, it's gonna squirt fluid out of the master cylinder all over your bike, and you don't want that. That's the last thing you want. So keep pumping it very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, holding your with both hands, you know, very, very slowly. You don't need to hurry. Now, if you're getting tired, the good thing about this system is you can stop and reset, yeah? And then again, you carry on. Yeah? Here we go. So we have pushed quite a bit of fluid already in the system, yeah? Now, again, we want to just reset the pump, get a little bit more fluid in. That's there. Now I can see some bubbles here. Perhaps the camera cannot take it, so I just move it aside like that, tip it over a little bit, and then keep going. Again, every so slowly. The master cylinder by now will be full of fluid. So anyway, now when you're ready, which is right about 1.5 times this size, what you want to do is very quickly get your wrench and close the system, yeah? And that's how you do it. Now, once we leave that there, we go and check our master cylinder. Okay, so after pushing up or bleeding the lines, if you like, what you want to do is spend a little bit of time here pumping the system out. Now you need to feel a pretty good resistance, say halfway through the lever swing, if you like. You gotta leave it a little bit of, yeah. So pump it in there a few times, you know, a couple of minutes, build up some pressure there, and then you know that it's done. So there you go. Now next thing is to put the screws here, attach the mirror again, and give it a good clean, of course. And there you go. This is how you replace your master brake cylinder, bleed the front brakes, and yeah, ready to go. You just saved yourself $500. Alright, so my next video is on the back, bleeding the back system, which is just as tricky. Anyway, done. Now time for a drink, you know, only the good stuff. Stay tuned for more videos.